All right, welcome everyone to the Late Night Restaurant Show. You know what? Dominic is not here today. He's out there milking goats right now, and he's a goat farmer. A lot of you probably don't know this, but he's a very, very busy goat farmer. And he's been milking a lot of goats lately, and tonight he got into the milking rhythm of milking goats, and unfortunately he can't make it tonight. We wish him all the well. And he's going to be back again for another show. We're actually releasing one that we did the other day tomorrow that you'll be able to see him again. But I hope you can all email him. You can go to his site. You can Google Dominic Pudella, Italian, and wish him well for his milking goats, I think is how you say it. And let's wish him all well. So maybe we can even do a pledge tonight to help Dominic with his goat milking activities. I don't know what you call it. Anyways, we got a great show tonight, everyone. Without Dominic, like I said, he's out there milking goats. We've got an amazing guest on tonight. I've known this lady for a long, long time. She's a rock star. I've never asked if she was in a band in those high school years, but we've got an amazing guest on, and it's going to be awesome show tonight. So sit back. Also, by the way, it's not a podcast, so don't think we're a podcast. We're not even close to being a podcast. Maybe one day we'll grow up to be a podcast, like the big podcast out there. But we are not a podcast. Nope, not at all. But I think tonight we might give away something with our podcast logo on it. Maybe like another throw pillow or some socks. Who doesn't like socks? Anyways, great show tonight. So here's our intro, and we'll be back with this rock star. Here we go. There you go, Barbara. Welcome.
Oh, thanks, Jay, and thanks for the introduction. And no, I was never in a rock band. However, I'm learning to play ukulele right now. So I don't know if that counts.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Dominic's not playing the ukulele. He's milking goats tonight.
Well, I can play the ukulele while he milks goats. Maybe, who knows?
Well, we feel for him. I miss him. I miss my little Italian guy. And, I wish he could have made it, but he's got busy. He's got a lot of goats to milk. And it should be a good evening for him as well. So anyways, Barbara, you are the Director of National Accounts for Integra. Thank you for joining us tonight on the show. Just make sure you know that's not a podcast by any which ways.
Yeah.
And we want to learn about what you do. You've been around the industry. How long have you been in the industry?
Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Then that will age
Just
me.
lie.
About 12 years. No, I've been around in the industry. I was thinking about it. And Jay, thank you so very much. I've worked with you for a very long time, and I'm really excited to be doing this. And I love your show. So thank you. I really appreciate having me on. I have been in the industry since I was wee high to a grasshopper. My dad owned a pub and a restaurant.
Seriously?
Yeah, and I used to clean the bathrooms in the pub when I was little on Sundays.
Really?
Yes. So always been in the industry. And then my parents had a resort in the Okanagan, so worked through that. I, had my own restaurant, and yeah.
Really?
So,
I didn't know you were in the industry that long. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I was. And so Jay, you're now, just shows how old I am. So.
Fancy way for Jay, shut the shit up.
Yeah, no, but it's, I tell people that that the food industry and the hospitality industry is in my veins, it's in my blood, and it's
Yeah.
I started cooking probably when I was 2. Not that I'm a chef by any stretch of the imagination. I just love food. So I've always been in the hospitality industry. Love it. Truly
Yeah,
love it.
you know what? Well, you could tell, Barbara, like you know a lot. You've been around, you've seen a lot. And I can only imagine some of the stories you've had over the years. I can only imagine. We'll get into maybe a couple later.
Sure.
So right now, so Integra, can you just share who Integra is? Because a lot of people don't know what this amazing company is. And tell us 30 seconds. Here we go.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna do my very best because it's a wonderful. So Integra is a group purchasing organization here. We are a global organization, and in Canada. So I work for the Canadian division. There's 22 of us on this wonderful team, and I think what people don't understand, what they miss out on the Integra piece in a group purchasing organization is how helpful and how we can help you in your business, right? So often the distributor will bring us in, here, sign this piece of paper, and they'll get you some money, and then that's it. That's where it leaves off at. Where that's just scratching the surface. That is just the small piece of what we can do. So if Integra, it's endless. And as I've worked with them for 2 years now, I keep finding out more and more and more. Well, I'm working with a customer right now on trying to find them, getting them better deals on their name badges, just simple name badges for all their, no word of a lie, hotel chain name badges. They're paying $10.82 a name badge.
Ours, that's a lot of money.
No, I know. So just these little things, right? We're $1.82. So it's quite amazing what we can do. I mean, we have. What is the numbers? I mean, we have over, I think, 1,500. Let me see, 1,500 national and regional suppliers in North America that people tap into, right?
That's crazy. I didn't know there was that many.
For sure. I mean, and we all think about food like we're going to get our rebate check from Integra, or our GPO through Cisco, through GFS, through Pratt, through lots of distributors, but again, I always go to that other side of the equation.
Yeah, there's other things out there that you can work on and stuff like that too. That's really cool. So, Barbara, so good.
No, and they don't even think about stuff right like that.
Oh well, everything adds up nowadays, right? Because everything's so expensive. How important is that to restaurants, Barbara? Like you've seen restaurants. How hard is it right now in the industry to make money?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I was talking with a peer, and he's really good on the numbers and the inflation. And he was saying, he says restaurants may have their sales dollars up, but their the people coming in the door is down, right? And this is all around down too. Right? The traffic's down. So being in the restaurant business is really, really difficult. And if you're not partnered with with somebody that can help you and navigate, it's tough. And I think people underestimate and underutilize their GPO. And I'm not, there's lots of GPOs out there. Obviously, I'm here to talk about Integra, and I would love you to all phone me afterwards, and that's great. But if you have a GPO right now, I guarantee that you're underutilizing them. I mean, we want to be at your table. We want to be consultative partners in your decision making and help you, because we have access globally to, like I said, over 1,500 suppliers. We've got $36 billion in purchases that we can leverage for better contracts and rebates for people, right? So this is where you, as a single mom and pop or even a small chain, you don't have that voice to reach out to those larger manufacturers, or reach out to the hood vent people, or reach out to the
name badge guy,
the badge guy. You don't.
I just think of John Candy with the showering guy. Is there a showering guy somewhere?
Yeah. The who?
The shower ring. Remember the shower rings?
Shower ring. Yeah, for sure. I remember that. You just, you don't. It's you got to get curious with your GPO. You got to build a relationship, and you got to let them come and sit with you at the table as you're making purchasing decisions. You use them as your procurement partner, truly consultative, because not only do we have lots of connections with vendors, manufacturers, we also have lots of people within our organization that have a lot of industry knowledge and a lot of industry know-how. We have a value team that can pull data every which way to Sunday and help you see inflation and help you to make some good decisions. We do the EPK kitchen. We got kitchens, that we work through, helping people make decisions around what food they should do. Right. So
what do you find with restaurants making decisions today? Is it easy for them to make some of these decisions, or is it still a long challenge for them to go, you know what, I'm still going to do what I'm doing? Is it hard for them to switch behaviors and changes?
Yeah, sure it is. Change is tough. I think anybody, anything when we try to change is hard, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the most important thing is you just need to get curious, one, about your GPO or about Integra. Get curious and lean in, and then start to build a relationship and start to build trust. Because if you don't have a relationship and trust, then you can't move forward within this, right? And I think it's really, really important that you take a minute and get off this hamster wheel that everybody's running on right now and step off of it and sit down with your GPO and say, hey, what can you do? How can you help me? Because when you think about when you go to look for something, I need to get, I want to get some golf carts. I have my restaurants, I'm at a golf cart. I'm going to use them as a delivery system, whatever. I always say reindeers. I can get you reindeers, but I need golf carts, right? And so you're going to Google golf carts. Well, where do I find them? Who should I talk to? Where do I get these from? Who do I trust? Right? So instead of doing that, why don't you just pick up the phone and you phone me, you phone Integra and say, hey, who do you guys already use? Who do you have already vetted? Who have you already working with within your company of Sodexo? Because Sodexo is our parent company. And they already use all these vendors and all these contractors. So we've already got them. We got them in relationships. We have deals NORAM wide, so North America wide, right? So we have a lot of these relationships already in place. We use them within our own companies. We have large customers that utilize these vendors. We have we have the 7 strategic steps into sourcing. So very, very, very specific. We look for small businesses, medium businesses that we can support, women, Indigenous businesses. So we have a very strong diversity and inclusion and sustainability too. Yeah.
So, but what do you find, Barbara, right now, the biggest challenges with restaurants right now? Like, what do you see out there? Is it the food cost, labor cost? Is it the little things adding up? What do you see out there?
It's the supply chain.
Really?
That's what I hear. And I do a lot of work within lodging too. So, but it's that supply chain of getting product. Now, if people really get their food costs, they understand under control, their prime costs, their food and their labor costs, and we can get under control. Because it seems to me like from where I sit and where we're talking, labor seems to be getting under control. We also have a couple of people that we partner with that actually can help people with temp labor and labor issues and stuff like that, where they can find people for them. But
has that kind of gone? Does the labor thing kind of disappear? I haven't really heard too much about labor lately.
Correct. Yeah, it's calmed down.
I figured out how to run our business with less people or whatever the case is, right? Cut hours.
Yeah, I don't know if it's less people. I think that we've done really good at promoting. The restaurant associations have done it good at trying to bring in and promote working in the food industry. When I worked in marketing there, we did lots of promotion for the restaurant association, just trying to encourage people to take on the industry, and realize that it's a wonderful industry to be in, right? The food industry is fabulous. Yeah. It's a great career.
I think we can do better though. I think we still have a ways to go to tell people how awesome it is. I always said this. And I was at the BC Hotel Association doing a talk out there, and I think I did say in front of that group, and then the following week I said in Saskatoon, we don't have a problem with labor. I don't think we do. we have a problem telling people how awesome it is to work in this industry.
Yeah.
Because COVID, all we kept doing in COVID was putting a poor newscaster out front of a restaurant that just closed and going, oh, this restaurant just closed. Or we keep promoting or publishing closures of restaurants.
Mhm.
When's the last time you saw all these amazing restaurants open up, or the newscast goes, "Hey, there's a new restaurant opening up here in Edmonton." We don't
For
hear
sure.
that. We hear about the closures. So quit it. Do the positive of what's happening in the industry.
For
Because
sure.
you're
And
scaring people out. You're scaring people out of it.
we are, and you know what? I think about my long career within the hospitality and
Mhm.
food service industry, and you know, I've loved it and I've been very successful, as to have you. And there's so many avenues within the industry that you can get into. Like, you know, here I worked my way through owning restaurants and working in restaurants, going into distribution, and now I've ended up within the GPO world, where now I help people with their businesses get connected with vendor partners and manufacturers that can help them save money and find wonderful solutions, right, to their business. So
So
it's kind of-
Barbara, what was it? Was it running the pub, or was this? Did you have another idea you were going to do in your life before you got into this? Or was there another? was like-
no,
You were
No.
like a lawyer or something weird.
no, it was, you know, it was, you know, what I always wanted to do. This is going to be funny because I always wanted to run a hotel.
Really? Why? Tell me. You're not telling me now.
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. You
Is
know
it
what?
just taking care of people? Because you take care of people. So is it
I
that
do.
taking care?
I do. I love to make people feel good, have a wonderful experience, and I like to make them, you know. And I am always a very optimistic about life, and I like to live life, and I love life. And when I grew up on Gabriel Island, I don't know if anybody knows where that is, but we had a lot of food, and we did lots of entertaining with the 700
Yeah.
people on the island. So Barbara cooked, and she made everybody happy. And I always thought I would run a hotel one day. I never did quite get there.
No, but that's cool. But no, I always try to figure out like why we all got where we are. And it's always interesting to find the journey that people take or what they would have wanted to do, right? And I find that the industry pulls us back into here. But it makes sense with you now wanting to run a hotel. I've always thought of it too, Barbara, because you know what I like about hotels is that, let's say 3 o'clock to like 8 o'clock when people are coming in and checking in and it's busy and thriving. And if you had a pool, you can hear the pool. And that reminds me of my family and traveling and stuff like that when I was a kid. And I think that's why I like hotels from that part. So when you said that, I was like, yeah, I like them too. They're kind of cool. And you get to take care of people and a whole bunch of people. It's like you're having a big sleepover every night.
Well, you know, for me too, with like, I think in my life as I was growing up, food was such a big part of, you know, of gatherings, right?
Yep.
And
you have big potlucks as a kid?
Well, no, we used to just do big parties because when you lived on Gabriel Island, there wasn't very many people.
Okay, I get it.
And everybody grew lots of vegetables, and we had cows, and we fished, and we had all this seafood. So we would just, every weekend we'd have a gathering, and we'd have 20, 30 people. Oh yeah.
On the island?
Yeah.
Really? Like other people come from other islands?
Okay, I'll tell you this one little story. People used to give me a challenge. They say, Barbara, now this is landline. Okay. No social media. You get one phone call, Barbara, to make a party happen.
Serious?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So
Those are the
I
days.
could make one phone. They used to challenge me all the time, and there'd be no problem. I knew exactly who to call, when to call, where to call, and how to get things rolling.
Would other people come from other islands? Like, would it be like
no, because it's a bit too far. Like there's a ferry and stuff like that. But we would get, yeah.
It's
So
really cool though. Now it makes sense. I'm getting the pieces here.
little hippie love. I love making everybody happy, and that's and that's why I think it's really interesting where I've ended up. It truly is my career path. It was meant to be here with Integrity. Yeah. It truly was.
Do you think a lot of people like when we have a lot of people on the show and stuff like this, their paths are incredible of where they end up? And I find a lot of people, we've had people try to escape the industry and they always say, yeah, they pulled me back. And I find that a lot of people have these journeys, but they're so unique and different. And I'm assuming there's nothing you would change in this journey.
No.
Right? And it's not been easy. It's an up and down journey too.
Oh yeah. I mean, I tell you, I own my own restaurant. I worked in Whistler at the Delta. I was, oh yeah. And I worked at the Vancouver Yacht Club, you know. Yeah, I worked for the Bay downtown at the Skywalk Cafe. For anybody that's from Vancouver and has been to the Skywalk Cafe. Oh yes. I have worked in the restaurant, and then all through my distribution world, I did street sales, working with local mom and pops customers and helping them, working up into, larger hotels, and then into the resource department. We're working with chefs and marketing and specialists for BC. So
when you were working back in those restaurant days in Vancouver, the Bay,
the Bay, right downtown. Yes, awesome. I won't tell you what year I started. Yeah.
Well, that was when there was a lot of bays, I'm sure, across Canada.
Yes.
Do you ever think back then at those Bay days that you'd be doing what you're doing today? Like a lot of kids are in the career right now, or they're working at, like I always go when I do a drive-through, or I go to like a fast food place, because I started at KFC. And I always go back and watch those people in the drive. That's why I have so much sympathy for them, going, man, like that was me 30 some years ago. And I'm like, wow, right? Like I never thought I'd be doing what I get to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the unique part about our industry, is that it just doesn't have the same path for everyone.
You know what? No, I would never have thought I would be here today, and I don't think even before I got the call from, shout out to Brad Gable for giving me the call to join and to asking if I wanted to join Integra. I would never have thought I would be here, but my whole life is a little bit shoot from the hip. I just, let's go over here. That's how I work. And that's the spontaneity of it. I love it. Right. And maybe that's why the hospitality industry always, was in me, is because it was always lively and exciting. And, I tell you, I think, there's so many opportunities within this hospitality industry that, that can take you, and what you learn from the hospitality industry is insane. I did go take a stint in between distribution and Integra. I worked within marketing, where I sold websites and podcasts and things like that. And I'll never forget, my boss came to me and she said, man, you food service folks, you guys have got a lot of energy. We're going to hire more of you. Because, and you know what else I find that the food service industry taught me, the working in the restaurant and that, was to make decisions quick, how to make these decisions, how to keep people happy, how to keep myself in check, my emotional intelligence, and all these things. Well, because I knew that tip at the end of the day was going to drive me, get my gas in my car and pay my rent and all those things. Right. So.
You're right. And I find it's very, it's funny, because I think there's a DNA that is implanted in us, maybe, or we're born with it, that really is unique than any other industry out there. Because we all know we're not millionaires in the restaurant industry. There might be a few out there that own 100 restaurants, whatever. But the ones I always say, in the trenches, we're not making millions. Yeah. And it was so funny, because I did a post of a Ferrari when we were at a car show on the weekend. And I was talking to a guy today. He's like, "Did you buy a Ferrari?" I'm like, "Sure."
Food service industry.
Are you kidding me? I knew I was going to get someone with that, but I got like most gullible. I was like, holy cow. So I think, but we do have this DNA in a sense that I find so unique, because we're doing it for more than, I think, the pay, and more of a purpose. And I think it's so important that we all have these purposes, why we do what we do in this industry. And I think it's contagious, but we need to share those purposes. We need to tell people why I'm doing this. And it's not because of the pay, because they may get in going, well, geez, I could go be a lawyer and make way more, or do whatever. But it's something else that I think we need to share. Like you said, taking care of people, Barbara, or having fun, or embracing people, all those good things that you do. And also rise people up, right? Put people on your shoulders and make them rock stars. And I think we need more of that. We need to tell more stories like that. That's why we do what we do at our show, is we want to tell more stories about what we do, so people go, man, that sounds pretty cool. I want to do that.
Well, I'll tell you, my dad always said, I want you to be a brain surgeon. Right? My dad was it, and I'll never forget the look.
I was the prime minister.
My sister went off and did her green sustainability kind of engineering, and I said to them, no, I'm going into the restaurant hospitality industry. They put their face like, oh my gosh, we only at the time, and it was like, and away I went. I went off to college, and I went and did, and then, and you know what? Because I'm happy. I followed what was inside my DNA and what I wanted to do. And I feel that if you're happy, the money will follow.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think that's so important that you do it for what's right, for the reason, if that makes sense. But I think a lot of people, and trust me, I've seen it, Barbara, doing this stuff, is that you see people that think you're going to be the next Joe Rogan. And then after a year, they're like, man, I still don't make a lot off these podcasts. I'm like, well, I hate to break it to you, but it's going to take a lot more than that. And I think that's the thing. Like, we do it, trust me, we're not making millions, and we're not making anything. We're doing it for the purpose of the industry. And I think that's important. I think it's important to do that. And a lot of people, I hope they don't do it the other way, but I've seen it. I saw it recently in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I think people get caught up. I think you get caught up in that. And I think it becomes almost like addictive, is to chase the dollar. And I think you just got to do what's right.
You do. And you know, I think you have to be genuine to who you are. And then if you're happy, because at the end of the day, when you're sitting in the rocking chair, you know, on that porch,
90 years old,
you know, are you going to, what are you going to look back on? And are you going to say, I've been fulfilled and I really lived my dream and I walked the path that I wanted to walk? And sure, there was some hills and there were some valleys in that, but man, I feel really good about what I did, you know? And
well, I think that's too. I always say, what's the legacy you want to leave? And I'm really into this legacy lately. I don't know what it is. Is I don't know what it is. I was on a sign. Is that
yeah, no kidding.
Really, exactly. It's like, don't set it for a bus. But I think it's important to, because I don't know if we understand how short we have it here, that our legacies we need to leave something behind. And it doesn't mean that you cure a disease or you invent the next cool gadget. I think it's a legacy of what you want to be remembered for. And if you're that guy that I think you have to be careful, because I think you have to look at what the legacy is, but it has to tie back to your self-purpose, like what you believe that you need to give back. If it is that you want to be, you know, the most amazing car sales guy, hey, that's okay. That's what you want to be, and that's the purpose that's filling your need. I'm okay with that. Like, I don't think there needs to be a judgment on what you do. It's what you want to live and leave behind. And I think people need to look at that every day. Is what am I leaving behind today? And if it's a little bit better, or I made someone laugh, you know, like our big thing is we never talk negative on our show. And my goat milking buddy, co-host, Dominic, I'm trying to say that without laughing, is oh, he's going to kill me for that. By the way, you're lucky I don't put Dominic's email up on the screen. But you can still Google him if you want. Reach him out on LinkedIn. Dominic would love to know more about how to milk goats.
Yeah.
And anyways, but I think, you know, like Dominic's taught me a lot. I call him my little coach as well. And I must call him 3 or 4 times a day, like coaching time. And he's really made me think about that purpose as well, and the legacy. But we need to think really every day, wake up. What's a legacy? Enough of this negative crap. I think we need to talk more positive. I just did a series of lectures called Dishing Up Optimism. I encourage everyone to do a gratitude vlog on their phone. They don't need to push it out. Now, I challenge everyone to do that, Barbara. I don't know if you've heard this, Barbara. So you do a video vlog of yourself just tell what you're happy about, like what you're, you know, grateful for. And then if you have the guts, put it on social media.
Right.
And then that holds you accountable.
Yes.
On what you just said to the world. And you can thank Mr. Penner, because that goofball post every day him working out. And I think that does that to him working out is he posts on there, and if he misses a day, everyone's like, "What's wrong with Kevin?"
That's
Right?
right.
So
That's right.
I think so I do that, but I think we need to talk more positive about the industry, ourselves, the world, what we're doing. Enough of the negative. Enough telling people how to run their restaurant. Jesus, they've
Yeah.
made it this far after COVID. I think they're doing good.
Yes.
Can they
For sure.
improve? Yes, but
Yeah.
take it with a grain of salt. Like, please do. But legacy is important. I think it's so important. We need to like, what do you want to be? What do you want to be remembered as? Right? Like, we can all get that bus tomorrow, and then it's it. And then you
Yeah.
left the world, and it's like, okay, well, he was really good podcaster, right? Like, right? Like, what else can we do? And
Yeah.
we need to do more. We need more people like yourself, Barbara, in this industry. We need
Oh,
we
thank
do.
you.
We
Thank
do.
you.
We really do.
Well, I tell you, I have it. I got another. Now you're getting me started on the story. So this is about you talk
I
about
knew it. It only took 30 minutes, Barbara. Let her
I
rip.
know. You talk about legacy, and this one made me so feel really, really, really good about what this little tiny piece that I did for this person. So a few years back, there was this the Great Canadian Sales Competition where the
I
larger
remember that.
companies. You remember that? And I was one of the coaches for a couple
I
of
remember
years,
that. Yeah. Yeah.
and this fellow Isaac that I worked with, he did a fabulous job. We got through to the finals. We didn't win, but that's okay. And we kind of always kept in touch, and then we lost touch, right, a little bit. So he reached out, found me on LinkedIn, and he came last week. He lives in Nova Scotia in Halifax. He got his CGA. He did not go into sales or food or hospitality, and he got his CGA, and he brought his fiance out here, and I met them. I met up with them.
No
I hadn't
way.
for like 8 years,
Seriously?
and he said, he was like, we met, and he said, I was coming here and I had to see you because you made such an impact on my life when I was in university. And he told me, he said the thing that made the difference was when we were practicing for this competition, and I just said, listen, you have to believe in yourself. You just let go of the notes and just quit, just take a breath and just believe in yourself because you've got it. You are really a good human being and you can do this. And he said that's stuck in his head forever.
Really?
Helped him. Yeah. So there was my little piece of woo for
Isn't it amazing? It's funny you say that, Barbara. I wonder if we remember those more than we remember the negative things. Like, we all have those like shitty experiences and stuff like this. But I think the more that we can fill the cup with positive stuff like that, I think those are the things that we want to remember when we're on the porch, rocking chair, right? Like, I think those are the things that we're going to go back on and go, wow, we really did make a difference in someone's lives. And I tell you, Barbara, not to compare it to that because that's awesome, but meeting people in Chicago that went up and like, hey man, I love your show, or listen to you all the time. Like, I'm in a different country across the like way from where I live, and we're like making people laugh, or we're having a good time, and just giving them that break. And then also through COVID, we did so many shows through COVID. Holy cow, so many.
Yeah.
And people said, you know what? It was great for you to keep us kind of connected and doing those kind of, like, it wasn't me, it was all the guests. I was just being the goofball. But those are important.
They are, and I think as human beings, we want to be connected. We want this, but I think we somewhere along the line we've lost the ability to support and reach out and be happy.
You know what I think it is? Sorry to interrupt there. You know what I think it is? As we stop telling stories, we stop talking. And that's a big thing that, like, my friend down in San Diego, Sean Walchef, I always say Sean, he teaches us within the podcast. He's like the grand poobah of the podcasters in North America. And Sean's always talked, he's always big on telling the stories. We all need to tell us more stories. And I think, and I always say this, if my dad was still around, he would have been an amazing podcaster because we would have just hit play. And then an hour later, he would have told you 13 stories and made you laugh.
Yeah.
That was almost their entertainment of that model. It was the entertainment of the story, where we sat around the fire and we told stories. What do we do today? We sit around the fire and we look at our phones. Where, like, it's just like, right? I remember my dad used to sit there with his friend and we'd all listen to him telling a story to Gary, and then we would sit around and laugh. laugh our asses off. Like it was funny,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I think we forgot how to tell stories, and I think the stories was the bridge into the conversations with people, to talk to people.
Mhm.
I did a seminar in Saskatoon there, and Barbara, this is hilarious. I had to tell. We did a section in the lecture on how to smile.
Oh. Oh.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, everyone's
Yeah.
like, what? I'm like, when's the last time you practiced smiling? Everyone's like, I haven't done that before. I'm like, really? Like you haven't practiced everything else? You haven't practiced smiling? Really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? It changes the world. And we haven't done that, right? So I think when you look at what we have today, it goes back to storytelling, talking, and just like enough of the text. I called a guy the other day. It was yesterday. I called him and I'm like, I'm sorry. I just call. I'm still that old. I just call before I do a pre-text, before I text you to see if you're free to call you. I just call. He's like, that's okay, man. I'm still from that era too. I like it. I'm like, good. But when did we have to start putting more, I guess, obstacles in the way of having a conversation with people? And that's probably why I like podcasts, Barbara, because we just talk and we get to have a conversation. And can you, and I think the popularity of
not a podcast, so Jay. Remember, this is not
just about slipped. Goat milk and Dominic would have killed me for that one.
I can't do that for him. It's not a podcast yet.
Dominic would have killed me for that one. Whoops. But I think that's why people like these things, and the popularity's through the roof. And you know what? Maybe this model of conversations, that's for other people, it's called a podcast, not for us, that back in the 80s, they would have been like, that's called talk radio.
Yes. I remember my father. So my dad, he's in his 80s, and I was trying to tell him about podcasting. He's like, what? I don't understand this. Like, what do you mean? And I said, Dad, you remember when you used to listen to the radio and you'd go the radio on and somebody would read you a story or tell you a story, or you'd listen to them all for the night, for the evening with your family? And I said, well, it's the same thing. Yes.
We all listen to Stuart McLean.
Yeah. And I said, it's no different. We just call it something different. And it's on a different mechanism, but it's all still the same thing.
It's still the same.
And that's the same with the restaurant business, really. It's all still the same, where we're trying to break bread and feed people and make people feel happy and good and create a fabulous feeling when they leave and lift them up, right? Give them lift, give them hope, give them love.
Well, you look at the people in our industry, like, you look at, I got to meet the producer through COVID of Anthony Bourdain's producer. And it was incredible. I was like geeking out, taking pictures of him. And it was just like, oh my God, this is the guy that got to work with Anthony every day. And I'm like, oh. So I get to hear like behind the stories and everything. I was asking him every question. But there's a guy that I think that, well, first of all, we needed him through COVID. We needed him to say, guys, cut this out. It's going to be okay. It's all going to be fine. Grab a beer, chill, relax, right? Like, we needed him. Unfortunately, he left us. But when you look at what he was doing, is he was just normalizing something that we got very complicated in. Yes. And I think today we've complicated a lot of things. He just slowed it down a little, made it so it was just normal in a way, right? Like, he could make a fancy dining place normal, or a food truck in Japan or whatever. Like, it didn't matter. He normalized everything. And I think we need to do more of that. And I think when you go back to talk radio, and I always think Stuart McLean, like you think of those memories on Sunday when you used to listen to CBC talk radio and Stuart McLean and his stories. Yeah. Was it Morley? Morley, right?
Yeah.
It was Morley, and those stories, I get goosebumps, and what pulls us back into those moments when the world was a bit maybe simpler. And I think I think those things we need to embrace what we have today. This is what it is. It's called a podcast, and we're not one, but it is, right? But not a podcast, but for other people, that's what it is. It's just having conversations, and the popularity of these things are through the roof, right? Like, we're reaching around 100,000 people a month now, month. Nice. And I'm like, just us chatting about the industry and what they do and what they contribute to it. That's it. It's nothing fancy. We're not Joe Rogan. and those guys. But I just think that we need more conversations. We need to tell more stories, and we need to put down those damn phones because they
Yes.
are so addictive.
Yes.
And they are addictive. They're so addictive. It's crazy. I'm addicted. Trust me. My kids make fun of me. My kids make fun of me. You know that's bad.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
first sign.
Yes.
First sign of a problem is when your
Children.
16-year-old goes, "You're on the phone too much, Dad."
Yeah. Well,
It's
and
so.
I think as people, we need to be listened and we need to be heard, right? And I think
Just so much, Barbara.
and I think this is where we've missed out. And you know, I think about the restaurant industry and I think about how resilient the restaurant industry is and how long the restaurant industry has been around for.
How
And
long will it last? Is my question. How long do you think it's will it ever get to a point that there's no one working in it and it's just robots? Let's say 100 years from now. What do you think it's going to look like?
no, you know what? I don't. I think there'll be places where that'll come into play. Like, I mean, we have,
QSRs.
yeah, we have, you know, we have some digital technology. We have the little robot contract for the robots and stuff, but it's not a big demand because it's still a, you know, I think we need the human touch and we need human interaction. And I think it's the hospitality's role, responsibility to still provide this for us people that are been told to sit in our houses and we just got stuck in our houses to come out and get some human touch and some human interaction again. And that's to me the role of the hospitality industry and the restaurant industry. Even if it's to go as a person that you're on your own and you sit there and you get to talk to the server, right? You just even talking to the server, right? And that I think is really important. I think that's an important piece.
I think we can take that from what COVID did to us. We never talked about COVID.
No.
But I think when you look at COVID in sense, I think we cannot forget how important restaurants were in our lives when we didn't have them. Because there was a time that we didn't have them. We had takeout. Right? Like it was gone. Like it was gone. So when you look at how important it was, we can never forget that. Like that, it's almost like we should just pay homage to the industry based on the disaster that COVID did to us, because that we need to go think back of that. May take a few minutes to remember how bad it was when we didn't have restaurants, and I remember how horrific it was, and I remember how much weird stuff poor restaurateurs had to do with plexiglass and paint. And stuff, like we go back, we laugh, and it's just I can't believe it's poor people and the amount of money they had to spend on plexiglasses and takeout.
But that's the resilience of them. You remember when we used to smoke and like I was laughing. I was on a plane. I was sitting beside this guy, and we were like, I was flying to Montreal. Oh my God, love Montreal. The food there is like, oh my God, it's a jazz hand one. Anyways, we were laughing. He knew Ward, Mr. Ward, the fellow that founded Ward Air. I don't know if you remember Ward Air.
Yeah.
They were, you could drink on the plane when you were 14. So on the way to Hawaii, but they used to have smoking, right? Oh, everybody used to smoke.
Yeah, the front half of the plane could be smoking, right?
Yeah, and smoking in the plane, and then they didn't have smoking, would you like a smoking seat or non-smoking?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in the tube here. I think everybody's smoking. And then I remember the restaurant industry. I'll never forget when they stopped smoking. It was moving out. And
remember that, Barbara?
It was
remember? You know what we were going to? I forgot about that.
Oh,
do you remember? We didn't know we had to. We're making
than anything.
Yeah, people like, what are we going to do? We're going to lose sales. We're going to lose sales.
Everybody smokes and drinks and eats, and you know what? As always, the hospitality industry adjusted. They made their moves. They did their things. They built their patios outside with plexiglass. I mean, they were probably prepping for.
People were buying buses. You could sit in the bus in the cold weather.
Right, and it's okay now. It's okay. we
adjusted. We adapted. Yeah.
And if you think about that, I remember when I had one more story. I had this restaurant and in Soyuz. And this is about adaptability in the food service industry. So we were doing a banquet And people that are in the banquet industry, like we were plating up salads. So we had one of those pop-up tables, with the folding table. So we had propped this table up, and chef had all these, small plates out for salad. And we're stacking the salads on there. Well, I don't know. We won't blame anybody, but my sister maybe bumped the table. The folding leg was not, and it tipped, and every salad went boom straight off the table onto the floor.
Motion too, eh?
Oh my God, it was unreal. But nobody out front knew, because people in our industry, we know how to rally, and we know how to make it happen, and we know how to fix things so that we walk out of there with a smile and nobody knows what was going on in the back room, right? So
I remember those situations. You're like, okay, no one knew what we had to do to get something, or run to the store or something like this, right? Like, they don't hear about those things. And I think restaurateurs and chefs and stuff sometimes make it look so easy.
Yes.
But until you step in those shoes, then you'll realize how hard it is. I remember doing a session once with a customer that came in. I remember the customer, and our chef wasn't, I think Chris or Albert was gone. And I'm like, well, I could do it. How hard is this? I was like deep frying stuff, and that was it. And I was freaking shaking. I was like, this is so hard. You guys make it look so easy.
Yeah.
And very hard. So I think until you step in those shoes, I think a lot of time, I think someone said everyone in the business world should work in a restaurant when they grow up. Just for a little while, because you get a taste. And I think Anthony Bourdain used to say that too. Who worked in a restaurant when they leave a tip, or they comment when the server's having a bad day or something like that.
Yes.
Who worked in it.
For sure. And I tell you, the food service industry, the hospitality industry is one of the toughest ones. I mean, if your sign's not breaking down, your website's crashing, or else your server's sick, or the dishwasher just blew up, or your walk-in cooler is died on the hottest summer day.
Your whole staff is high on mushrooms.
Oh yeah, or we got a flood, or this big bus just showed up, and they only were supposed to bring 20 on the bus.
Exactly.
50,
the teaching conference got let out.
Well, and or there's no smoking bans, or somebody gets mad and posts something bad on your social media account, or COVID and all of a sudden, like all these things. But I tell you, the hospitality folk just keep they track along.
I hope it never ends, Barbara.
Right?
I hope that resilience never ends. Like, I hope they never go, you know what? It's just because it's tough right now. We're seeing margins shrink so much.
Yeah.
Like you said, the foot traffic, that is definitely, we did a couple of webinars recently, and that was like the number one message is increase foot traffic. And we were talking about this last year with Starbucks, with a guy from Starbucks. Yeah. He was on the show, and he was talking about how Starbucks created their app. Really, the only purpose is to increase store traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting. So I think it's, like, just really, it's all about the foot traffic. And so I think all these things that we're doing right now, I think we need to just really tell the stories, be out there, do what we're doing. I think authenticity is going to be huge as we move forward in the industry. I think being real and authentic. I think more and more restaurants need to tell their stories so people understand who they are. I think humanizing restaurants even more. We did that back in the 70s and 80s.
Yep.
People knew who the chef was and the owner in the small town. Everyone knew Nick that ran it. And I think we need to bring that back more and more so people know. We will support those.
Cheers, right? Everybody knows your name, right?
Exactly. That's a really good point.
Right?
I saw
Everybody
that
knows your name. When I worked at the Barron's Inn in the downtown Hudson Bay, there used to be people that would come in every day because of the whole bay, right? All the people the staff would come up for lunch. We knew what so-and-so would have coffee, and we would have the coffee on the table before they even sat down. We knew exactly what everybody wanted, and, all our regulars, so that, they just kept coming back, right? They just kept coming back, right? So we just want to be seen. We just want to be, right?
That's what's great about it, right? Yeah. Well, Barbara, you survived the first show that you've been on, the late night show, not a podcast. And I still, like I say, I'm sorry that our goat milking co-host Dominic can't make it tonight, he would ask. You know what he does? He does these questions. It's so funny. I've done so many shows with him that he looks up at the roof.
Yeah.
So he's processing a question.
Yeah.
And then we have a rule that he can't say politics or government.
Oh, I heard that when we were with Chef
he goes
Paul.
a little.
I heard that. Yes.
Yeah, he goes a little weird. So
Yeah.
that's a no-fly zone for us. So
Yeah.
poor Dom, but I want to thank you, Barbara, for joining us and to be on the show. It's an absolute pleasure. You are an industry legend and a rock star. And it's always awesome talking to you. And more people need to know that this is who Integra has working for them, and there's a reason why. So that's what's cool.
Yeah, and Jay, you know what? Thank you so very much. I totally appreciate this, and this you've capped off my career, or helped just another step in my career to be able to share with folks in the industry. And I'm not kidding. Even if you don't want to come and talk to me about Integra, let's just talk about the industry.
Have a coffee with Barbara. Have a coffee with you.
Come have coffee. Let's break bread. I'm here. I'd love to chat. And Jay, thank you so very much. You are truly dear to my heart. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Well, don't go anywhere. We're gonna run the outro. We're gonna say Dominic win the next Goat Championship milk contest. I don't know. Try not to say it without laughing. He's gonna kill me. Anyways, Barbara, don't go anywhere. But we're back again tomorrow night, everyone. And make sure you listen to us, like I said, on Spotify. Actually, just Google us. We're Google proof now. That's what happens, Barbie. You get enough shows that you show up on Google. It's crazy. But anyways, thanks again, Barbara, and to everyone else. We will see you next time. Here we go.
Yes.